Hello and welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our webinar, Critical Considerations When Choosing a CDN for Streaming Video. Before we jump into the presentation, I'd like to point out some of the features of the webinar platform that we're using today. We plan to have plenty of time for Q&A at the end of the presentation, so please submit a question at any time by typing it in the Ask a Question box, which appears below the slides being displayed on your screen. I also want to point out that there is a Resources tab located near the top right of your screen. There you'll find several resources related to today's topic, including a PDF of today's presentation. And finally, it's my pleasure to briefly introduce our presenters. First, I'd like to introduce Adam Copeland, who is the Manager of Solutions Engineering for Limelight. Adam has worked in the CDN industry for almost 20 years, and for the majority of that time, his focus has been on streaming media. Adam and his team work with major media and entertainment brands to help them optimize their unique workflow needs, and some of which you will hear about today. Our second presenter is Charlie Russell, who is a Senior Product Marketing Manager for Limelight. He has over 25 years of experience in product management and product marketing with a strong background in video, networking, software, and storage. And with that, Charlie, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Diana, and welcome everyone. So where I'd like to go next is just, here's the agenda we'd like to cover today. Your first question might be, if you're not familiar with Limelight, my favorite way of describing Limelight is from a trade show that we went to recently, NAB, the National Association of Broadcasters. Somebody walking by said, "Oh, Limelight, you're the video CDN." And streaming video is one of the things that Limelight is really known for. And so what we'd like to do is present you some of the benefits of that experience. So for starters, what are some of the challenges and workflows that you see in online video from all the customers that we meet with? Secondly, there are key trends that are out there in the industry, and if you are interested in this notion of streaming video, this is valuable information for you to have. The third part I think is very interesting. We work with a lot of customers on helping them deliver their streaming video. And so we have three real-world use cases that we'd like to walk you through that represent sort of different scenarios. And then finally, a sneak peek into some future technology that we're working on that will be rolling out soon that is very exciting. And then we'll have some Q&A. So again, as Diana mentioned, if you have a question as things come along, please hit the question button. So let's start with the challenges and workflows that we see in online video. We'll start with the challenges. Here are some of the major things that the customers that come to us looking for, how can you help us deliver great video? Devices is the first one, and we have all seen mobile devices, whether it's smartphones or tablets, is becoming the predominant device, especially in the younger demographics. The second factor is global delivery. The internet gives everybody access to global markets, and so it's very exciting, but it also becomes very challenging and that's one of the challenges that a CDN can help you solve. And then quality of experience is really about that user, whether they're on their phone, on their tablet, or on their computer, or on their set-top box, or whatever it is, their expectations are very high, higher than they've ever been, for beautiful video, no rebuffering, which is when the video stops and then waits and you see the spinning wheel, low latency, etc. Expectations are higher than ever for quality. Now, storage. Storage can play a very, very large role in on-demand video because many of the assets might not be out in the edge cache of the CDN, and they need to be retrieved from storage. And so a high-quality storage helps you ensure that every user, every asset gets a great experience. And then finally, security. We've heard a lot about DDoS attacks and other malicious attacks, as well as attempts to steal your assets. So security is becoming increasingly important in the streaming video world. So these are some of the key challenges that we see a lot, that you may be seeing, and we can help you get around. The next couple of agenda topics are really more about the workflows. And for this, I'd like to hand the microphone to Adam Copeland.
Hey, folks. So the first thing that we want to talk about is live video. So the ability to work with different workflows is super important to us. So in this case, the ability to ingest a single high-quality bit rate and have the service automatically transcode into bit rates and then transmux that into multiple video outputs lets you worry less about the live event encoder or any bandwidth restrictions that you might have at a venue. So having multiple bit rates is super important because it allows your clients to automatically view high-quality streams or dither down to lower quality when the network can't keep up. So that'll reduce any need for rebuffering events. The RTMP feed that you see there in the slide, that's important because it's supported by all hardware and software encoders today. So if you have current hardware, it's supported, or software, it's supported, and if you have to go out and buy something for your live video workflow, it's going to be supported today, so you don't have to worry too much about it. So from the corporate event that's just a few hundred people, all the way down to something like today where we have the World Cup, it's something that we have covered. In terms of video on demand, now that your live event is over, you're going to need a place to store and deliver that. Perhaps you have a subscription service or an ad-based service or something that's in the public domain like government. You'll want to have the ability to deliver that content in all the needed formats without having to worry about managing a large library or a storage repository or all the different output formats that you have to worry about these days. And then the ability to add DRM for security could also be important because it's ensuring that only those authorized can view those videos.
All right, thank you, Adam. Next, we do want to cover some of these key trends that are across the industry. We've seen both live video and video on demand workflows, and some of these trends apply more to one than the other, but some of them are universal. So here we go. Back to you, Adam.
All right, we have a lot to cover here. So multi-format streaming. So in today's world of online streaming, you have to if you really want to get to all the eyeballs, you have to worry about a couple different streaming formats and supporting them. So you have Apple's HLS. I mean, that dominates the streaming landscape today. Dash or MPEG Dash is really the runner-up. And then you have other formats like smooth streaming or Adobe's HDS. Those are proprietary, but they still have their place in today's market. 4K content using H.265. That's coming up in our conversations with OTT providers today. It's gaining further support and understanding, and it's something that we're ready for. Really what it's allowing you is for a high-quality streaming at a fraction of the storage and delivery needs of H.264. WEBRTC, so that's something that we're super excited about. We'll have more on that later as well, but it stands for real-time communication, and it's truly the first thing that's coming out that's going to be a flash killer. Again, more on that a little later. In terms of security, CORS is a big one. It's a method of securing content by using HTTP headers to know when it's okay to serve content from outside of the domain that you're currently on. That's super important for players. Then there's a bit of a science to implementing CORS. We've seen so many use cases by our clients. Special considerations should really be taken into consideration because when we've seen folks implement CORS, they've done it wrong or just in bad taste, really. But it's something that you should really give us a shout, and we'll happily to help you out implementing your CORS security in your workflow. DRM, so in specific, we're talking about Microsoft's PlayReady, Google Widevine, and Apple FairPlay. So these are the primary drivers for securing video playback, specifically to DRM. A new trend these days is really being able to do DRM on the fly. So that's where your licensing and packaging happen at the time of request. So you no longer have to worry about going through and pre-packaging all your videos in all the different permutations. It's done for you at the time of the request. URL tokenization. So in this case, we're talking about tokenization with cookie support. So that's the ability to create a unique URL using a hashing algorithm and a secret key. So that's been around for a long time, and it's great for single download URLs. But when it comes to video, the ability to do a set cookie allows you to secure not only the manifest, that's like the playlist that has all the different renditions in it, but also all the subsequent video chunks that are inside of there. So that set cookie becomes an easy and cheaper way to secure your content that does not need DRM support. The next one into the IP access realm. So that's the ability to block troublemakers or perhaps allow your remote development team access to your project, but deny everyone else. That's a simple but powerful tool that can be implemented at the CDN layer. So geo-blocking, you can block an entire countries. That could also be powerful if you've had problems or perhaps your content is not licensed to be served in a given country or countries. And then the anonymizer support. That one's pretty interesting because we know where people are coming from. We know if they're hidden behind a known proxy provider or an anonymizer. And that could be someone who's perhaps trying to fool your geo-blocking or IP rules just to get your content. So it's another method for us to really get in there and block them out.
Okay, so the end result of this is all good for you good folks that are looking to deliver your video. Now, whatever device people are trying to access on, we'll detect what it is and get them the right format. We'll make sure it's delivered securely, only to people who have the rights to get it, and we'll keep bad actors from sneaking in the back door. So now let's talk about some specific real-world cases, and this is some pretty exciting stuff. What we've got is 3 scenarios. Now, the first scenario is a company that really just has a need for speed. They've got the video platform largely in place, and they just need performance. And so a CDN can help there with high-performance delivery. And we'll go into, and Adam is going to go into more detail on these, so this is just to sort of let you know what's coming. The second customer, again, real-world customer here, is sort of in the middle. They've got a partial solution. They have a lot of the pieces for delivering a full, secure, high-quality global streaming video experience, but they need certain parts that you might call a la carte features to help them complete the package. And then finally, the third scenario that we're going to walk you through is a company that is smaller, that is growing and building and kind of ramping up, and they don't have the platform, they don't have a lot of the tools. And so what CDN can help there is with a turnkey solution where essentially whatever you need to get online, we can make available to you and configure properly so that, particularly if you have less experience dealing with the ins and outs and rigors of content delivery, our experience can really benefit there. Again, like the person at NAB said, oh, you guys are the video CDN. So with that, let's start with the first scenario, a company that has a solution and needs performance. And I'll hand the mic back to Adam.
So in the folks that need performance, so in this case, this company has an entire focus on acquiring media clients and helping to automate their video workflows for a large audience. But they really had a problem with diversification of delivery networks. And quite frankly, video is their business, but networking delivery is not. So as part of the solution here, they have a full end-to-end solution on their end, but they really need CDN services. So by using our globally distributed network, this client was able to take on events that needed multiple terabits per second. Not your typical customer, but terabits per second is just huge. And being able to do that ad hoc without fail is something that we do very well. Also, they didn't want any changes to their existing workflow, but because these are large events, we had to be mindful of their infrastructure. So in this case, you see the little origin shield there in the middle there. So this ensures minimum connections and bandwidth back to their origin infrastructure. So it's really one less thing that they have to worry about when they're building out their own infrastructure. And part of that results in that outcome with utilizing this service is, it's all well and good. We have live events, and ideally they're planned out. But when they're unplanned events, they count on Limelight to have the capacity and focus on the events so they become a success. So one of the items here, war room support. So that's super important for them because that enables us for before, during, and after these events, everyone's on the same page. We're all on a bridge. We're all talking to each other. So any possible issues that come up are mitigated really, really quickly. So this next one is the kind of like the parcel solution. So they have a good chunk of their workflow put together, but there's some items that they really need a piece for or a solution for. So in this case, we have an online movie vendor. They license content from third parties to rent online. They needed to adhere to strict delivery guidances and licensing restrictions, but really looking for a video packaging service with all the DRM fixings. Again, play ready, wide vine, fair play. And they wanted minimum changes to the workflow that they already had. In this case, they have their own storage, they have their own back-end systems, so they didn't really want to have to worry about doing all the encodes to all the different streaming formats. So in this solution, it involves what we call MMD on demand. So this product provides what's called in the industry just-in-time packaging. That means we transmux the files at time of request into any of these output formats that you see here. Now, while this is easy enough to get up and running, we'd actually found issues with their storage and helped by seamlessly deploying what we call intelligent ingest with our Origin Cloud storage. Now, we were able to do that without affecting their existing publishing workflow. So we didn't take away from their storage, we just augmented it with our own. And the result and outcome of all that was, utilizing our video packaging service, we're able to meet their licensing requirements, securely deliver their video to all of their applications, and then we helped by not interfering with their storage workflow. Again, something that they didn't want to touch, but we were able to get in there because we were able to securely keep a copy in multiple locations within the Limelight network that helped with their time to first byte, as well as reducing rebuffer events. So these folks are pretty interesting in terms of needing a full turnkey solution. So think of either a startup or somebody who's getting into the space and don't have a good place to go or need direction. So this online client came from a world of manual online video workflows. So they were using some really archaic methods and poor CMS integration. So their plan was to start from scratch, but platforms such as the YouTubes, the Vimeos, those type of services didn't fit the bill because they would serve competitive advertisements, right? There was a really conflict of interest there. So utilizing a video platform was a great solution to get them going. We wanted to include just an overview of what's typically involved with a video platform. In this case, there's a laundry list here. It can go on forever, but in this case, this particular customer really wanted to use our full robust APIs and custom metadata abilities. And then back to the solution itself. So in this case, we enabled a solution for all their video workflow needs, moving them from a manual to fully automated video ingest in a matter of weeks. Utilizing our video platform, which includes the robust set of APIs, manipulation, and applying custom metadata to all their videos for full end-to-end workflow for their video on demand, as well as their live needs. So this gave them the ability to refocus their time and efforts and energy back into their business. Utilizing our analytics, that really helped guide them into new areas of video distribution, such as new devices and applications.
All right, so those three examples all ride on the Limelight network. And so this is just a little bit of more background on this kind of who is Limelight. Oh, you guys are the video CDN. And the way this video CDN works is a private backbone that is globally connected and connects 80-plus delivery locations. And you can see these super pops are located in the metropolitan centers around the world, so that there's high capacity output near wherever your user is, wherever they are in the world. 33 plus terabits per second of egress capacity is a lot. And then finally, that bit at the bottom, 900 plus connected networks. Think of it this way. Your end user is connecting via their internet service provider. Now, Limelight has relationships with basically all of the major service providers worldwide, so it's a very smooth handoff. Their request comes right to Limelight, and we serve it very, very quickly. And that kind of efficiency and global scale of the underlying platform makes everything work better. And if you layer on top of that the things we've been talking about, the video platform, the ability to detect a device and serve it the right format, the DRM, the storage, the security, and then the hand-holding, the help that you need to sort of get up and running. That's kind of how the whole package fits together in this way. And the benefits end up being whatever device your customer is on, wherever they are in this global world, they all expect a high quality of experience, and the whole Limelight package, including origin, storage, and security, delivers it. So finally, we have one last thing to touch on before we get to the questions and answers, and that is a sneak peek of something very exciting that's coming down the road. Back to Adam.
All right, so we touched on this earlier in our trend section, but I wanted to give it a little bit more focus. So we're building on top of our global network the ability to use your standard hardware and software encoders to take advantage of this new capability and service. So WEBRTC, again, real-time communication, enables you to have sub-1 second global video time. So when your video is being published by the encoder, people are consuming it all the way down to their devices in sub-1 second globally. So it is UDP-based, so it's not chunk streaming like your HLS or HDS or anything like that. So it is a different protocol. But the important thing here is that it's supported by all the major browsers. So no plugins like Flash, it's already there, and more feature functionality is coming out into those. One of the cool things, again, this is where the Flash killer portion comes into play. So not only are you getting really good video quality and low latency, but you have the ability for shared objects. And these shared objects are data. So think of like the thumbs up, thumbs down, texting between devices, and having that data being shared just as real time as the video stream. And that's something that we're working on now. We're already having prospects and clients talk to us about this and try it out. And the availability will be towards the end of this year.
All right, so WebRTC is an exciting what's coming next. So to wrap it up, we've seen a lot of trends Limelight has out there in the world, and we can help guide you through the streaming formats and protocols, how to deal with security and access. And whatever your situation is, whether you just have a need for speed, whether you have a partial solution and need some a la carte services, or whether you're ramping up and need a turnkey solution, Limelight can be your partner for a CDN for streaming video. And with that, we do have quite a few questions that have come in, both from pre-registration and from the questions that have come in during this session today. So for starters, here's one that says, I'm new to this video delivery format. What are some things to consider in choosing a streaming video platform? So Adam?
Yeah, so I suppose you'd really want to consider, a total integrated solution. So you're getting, the full CDN package, you're getting the storage, you're getting all the transcoding, transmuxing, whatever it might be, which is great for somebody who's just starting out, really. So Limelight can offer you the streaming platform, which we had showed off a little bit earlier, just in terms of those feature functionalities. And that's all integrated into the CDN already. So again, you don't have to worry about the delivery or storage. It's all part of the package. Plus expert assistance. So the ability for, offering you a live and on-demand platform is quite interesting. And again, that's all integrated with us.
All right, thank you. Next question. Why can't we stream without a CDN if we want to reach only our own city?
So really, the role of a CDN is partly about scale and global coverage. But for example, Limelight has peering agreements with all those ISPs that we were just talking about and last mile networks. So that's going to reach the cities from around the world, even into smaller regional cities. So issues of handling spikes in demand and storage and the serving of those users every day, that's something that we can handle and we can take on as a buffer. So CDN is really designed for those issues, and you're only going to pay for the content that's delivered. So worst case scenario, it's a good insurance policy.
All right. So next, and this one has a question we have gotten a number of times. It's important to understand. How would you compare Limelight to YouTube and the Vimeos?
Well, we have a lot of different advantages to those different platforms. So you're going to control what people see when it's published. You're going to have all those tools available at your fingertips. With YouTube, viewers are going to be offered a range of videos, again, possibly coming up against your competitors, like in one of our examples there. So you're going to control the video platform, the player, all the video assets, advertisement. If you want to monetize it, you could yourself, or if you don't want any advertisements at all, you can do that as well, but you still have all those analytics. Being able to customize the player and the branding could also be very important because, if I look at a video on a website, it's almost guaranteed that I know where it's coming from just by looking at the player. So being able to give your own brand quality to that is pretty important. But, YouTube, if you want to use it, we do integrate with them. So if it is a location where you need video, even teaser videos, something like that to bring people back into your workflow, into your website, that could be important to you as well. So social ability is important, but it's not the end-all be-all for a video solution.
Okay, let's keep it going. I'm going to try to handle as many of your questions as we can during this session. If we do run out of time, we will get back to you on your questions individually. The next question is, how do I ingest new content into the CDN? And once it's there, what control do I have over distribution?
That's a bit of a loaded question, but so for ingest, you could use something like intelligent ingest. We talked about that a little earlier, where it doesn't have to impede your current workflow. So if you're using a third-party cloud storage provider, or if you have your own storage and you want to have that on-premise location, we can automate bringing that content into our cloud storage. So that we can do that through on-demand. So somebody makes a request. It's not in our cache. We go out and pull it into our caches as well as into our storage repository, so it becomes a new source of truth, and any subsequent request will go there rather than back to your origin. And then we have the ability to, you give us a whole list of files, and we'll actually go out and get them from your origin, and we can handle the threads per second or how many megabits per second are going back to your storage repository, so we don't flood it or basically DDoS it. So we have a lot of controls over that. And then on the CDN and distribution side, So we talked about the different security policies that we have. So if you want to allow or deny or add anything into that workflow, we can certainly support that. So again, the IP geo-blocking, we can certainly do that. And then even the tokenization portion. So if you only want certain people to have access to it, we can implement those rules at the edge for you as well.
Okay, so the next one we have, how do you deal with the challenges of handling the competing traffic of the ever-growing vMVPD players in the market? And this is basically talking about lots of OTT traffic congesting the network.
Yeah, so it's quite interesting because we say that we're going around the internet, right? Because we actually own and operate our own backbone. But it's quite interesting because because we have that, we can do our own quality of service on our back end. So many of these folks are already actually peered with Limelight. So in some cases, they even use Limelight services for delivery outside of their subscriber network base. So it hasn't been quite a big issue for us. But again, being able to peer with them, have our own backbone, and have full control over our quality of service across the network is quite important. So it really hasn't been a problem for us.
All right. Next question. As captioning is becoming more and more important, what are some important requirements to ensure captions will still pass?
Well, that's a big one. So we have a lot of experience around this in terms of preserving captions in both live as well as on-demand workflows. We understand there's federal regulations in the U.S. and Canada and probably others, so sticking to standards always helps for live and video on demand. So those standards are so 608, or what's commonly known as Line 21 for analog, 708 for digital for live, and then you have WEBRTC for mobile. Those are the three standards to really stick to. So 608 and 708 for your live events, WEBRTC for mobile. You'll hear some things like SRT or DFXP, if I'm getting that right. Those are more player dependent, but they are, there are things that are supported. Yeah, I think that's about it. Otherwise, sticking to RTMP is good, and if you really need like a multi-language captioning, in that case, you're going to probably need something a little bit different, and we'd recommend doing that on your end and into HLS, for example, and then we can utilize a CDN to get those captions into our network. Yeah.
All right. Well, we are up against the time limit here, so we would like to just end with a quick bit of housekeeping and say, as Diana had mentioned at the beginning, there's a resources tab near the top right of your screen where you can download the slides from this presentation as well as some other materials. You'll also receive a follow-up email that will include an on-demand recording of this if you want to share it with colleagues. And finally, you'll also receive a bonus checklist of critical considerations when choosing a CDN for video a little bit later. With that said, here are some other places that you can find more information. You can go to limelight.com, and Video CDN provides that sort of information right on the web. You can email us, info@limelight.com, or give us a call, 602-850-5000. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time today. We hope this has been informative and helpful, and welcome the opportunity to answer any questions you may have. Thank you very much, and have a great day.